Come along for the ride as we vividly show you what a children's museum should be and tell you how generations of Vancouver Island children will thank us for opening up new worlds of learning to them.
Mama! I just need a minute. I'm just sending an email. I'll be there in a second.
Forget the call of the wild. For Adele Fraser, it's far more likely to be the call of the child.
Mama! Okay, just a minute. I'll be there. Bacon! I came, I'm done, I'm here.
Adele hopes to raise happy, smart, engaged boys, but finds there's at least one major obstacle: screen time.
He's in love with video games.
Are you in love with them?
Yeah.
And I probably spend 2 hours a day talking about screen time and the benefits or detriments or time limits or can I do it, can I not do it.
While technology plays a vital role in our modern world, many parents worry children aren't learning to be creative and present.
They have trouble transitioning and re-engaging into what's out there in front of them. You know, what can I do with this toy? They sit in a room full of toys and costumes and games and they say, I'm bored.
The boys say they can't remember anything they learned in school last year, but they can tell you all about a visit to Vancouver Science Centre.
It's just this big ball. It had electricity in it. When you touched it, your hair just went up. And electricity coming out the sides, but there was a ball around it, so we could, wherever we touched it, the electricity would go.
Adele would passionately support that kind of learning environment here in Victoria.
Basically, it's exciting and engaging, but it's also experiential, it's physical, it's kinetic, it's learning in a different way other than sitting and having someone talk to them or even just looking or reading.
The man who brought Techtoria, a wildly successful technology fair, to Victoria, and who's also a key player in Victoria's #1 economic player, the high-tech sector, admits some of his teachers may be surprised at his success.
We struggled in regular classrooms. I would finish problems early and then be a disturbance to the rest of the class, and I would get comments like I was achieving below potential ability from my teachers. I just never really fit into that sort of environment of a sage on the stage telling me, you know, what I needed to know about the War of 1812.
A trip to a science center changed Dan's academic path.
I think I was about 7 years old when I first went to the Ontario Science Centre just outside of Toronto. And I still remember the exhibits. There was one on the discovery of insulin, and it had like little interactive animatronic robots that were the doctors who discovered it, and all these little stories, and they had the laboratory behind glass, and so you could see that. They also had a soundproof room where you walked in and it didn't have doors, but they had baffled the sound so that you wouldn't hear anything within the space.
Like most of us, Dan grew up in a one-size-fits-all teaching environment. The volunteers behind Victoria's Children's Museum want our little ones to have infinite learning possibilities.
As a parent, I don't want to make the decision for them. I think, you know, you really don't talk about people, you know, anymore who say, I want my child to be a doctor, I want my child to be a lawyer. You know, that's kind of something that, you know, as parents we've learned that, you know, maybe that they're going to figure it out. But what I really want is to give them the tools so they have choice in life and to be able to pursue what makes them happy.
Nancy Richards is the director of one of BC's highest-ranking schools. She's so keen to see a Victoria Children's Museum, she asked to be part of the organizing committee.
Kids would go into a museum and they would not even think about the educational component. It would be all about the fun, the excitement, the awe of the environment, and then the connection that they're making with other areas, but with each other and themselves.
Blue fish.
Anika Ryani sings a Made in Canada children's classic to her Papa G.
You sing with me.
Anika's grandfather teaches her an Indian hymn and passes on his Islamic culture. Naz carefully guides Anika, but is thrilled when she makes her own discoveries.
I neglected my children. I worked long hours, and now I know what I missed. And enjoying my grandchildren, 5 of them, it's pleasure.
After a visit to an American children's museum, Naz came alive to the potential of this dynamic learning environment.
5 or 6 children built the car with Lego, and they put it on a ramp. And each one comes down slowly or fast, and that's lessons in physics. It's high time we get a children's museum in town.
Time is the focus of an exhibit at the Winnipeg Children's Museum, and the museum has stood the test of time, celebrating more than 30 years. Some of Winnipeg's exhibits are static and focus on local enterprise. What would be the niche of a Victoria Children's Museum?
Commonplace things like every children's museum has some kind of water exhibit, and living on an island, why on earth would we not do a water exhibit? And it's just such a thing that children learn through, and controlling their environment. And of course you have to do something around science and technology to reflect what's going on here.
And when the smoke clears and the playing is done, the lessons and memories remain in what educators call an authentic learning environment.
If the children are in the waterworks area or in a grocery store, they've got live materials, they've got real money, and they're able to make the connections across all the different disciplines, whether it's social studies or science or math, but everything kind of comes together and the light bulb goes on and they say, aha, this is how I've made meaning around a particular event or activity.
On a beautiful sunny day, the possibilities for fun are endless in gorgeous Greater Victoria. But on those rare days like today, where we're seeing a little liquid sunshine, both locals and tourists will tell you we need something else to do. The museum would be a terrific boost for kids, but it would also be a wonderful place for parents to connect, network, and rediscover the power of play.
My friend was just commenting to me the other day that on a rainy day, what do we have to do with our kids in Victoria? She said she's been to the museum lots and it's great, but for kids, it's not something that they can go to again and again and again.
What would Miles and Reese want to see in a children's museum?
If we could swim in a bubble pool and then get a music excavator.
Grown-ups believe BC's capital is an ideal place for a children's museum.
We have 8 federal research labs in Greater Victoria, and we have 2 universities and a college. We have the highest internet household usage in the country. We're Canada's smartest city. So we naturally attract people who are values driven, they're mobile, they're educated, they're somewhat affluent.
An educated, sophisticated center with one critical component missing, a children's museum.
I want, a learning environment that encourages wonder and curiosity.
Get inspired and encouraged,
I
and
want to give them tools so they can chart their own course.
Go and discover new ideas and new things in an interactive way as opposed to from a book. I find it a really exciting opportunity for our city.
Exciting, engaging, educational, authentic, interactive, experiential, and unlimited learning potential. Victoria, it's time for a children's museum. Give to the Victoria Children's Museum, build a legacy for generations to come.